Hello, my name is Precious Vines Harris, and I am the Single Maven. Welcome to day 26 of the 30-Day Warrior Challenge. Today's topic is speaking life over my future. This is an important topic, guys, because at the end of the day, if you're not able to speak in the affirmative versus the negative, you're not going to be able to get unstuck. And the fact of the matter is there is power of life and death in the tongue, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's look at our overview. Today, you will work on speaking life over your situation and ability to get unstuck. Remember, what you speak over your future today determines how you will walk into tomorrow. You are challenged today to speak life, faith, and victory, okay? So we want to start talking about this because at the end of the day, if one thing you can take away from this challenge as far as action steps, things that you can do to move forward is using affirmations as a way to get unstuck, but just as a way to support your goals, support your ability to succeed in life, because we talked about mindset, right? And today we're going to talk about your ability to speak life over your situation, your ability to speak in the affirmative and positive, and to declare what you would have for God to bless you with in the future, right? So I think sometimes it does come with challenges because at the end of the day, we're all human. And sometimes we have habits that we say certain things we may not mean to say, or we say things out of habit or redundancy versus being more mindful of what we're saying, right? So I think this is important for us to look at. In this verse especially, we're going to look at Proverbs 18:21, which says, and this is the NIV version, we're going to look at more than one version. The NIV version says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit, right? So this verse is telling us that the tongue has the power of life and death, right? That means that you can speak things into existence with your mouth as far as affirming them or tearing them down, right? And we're going to look at a couple of Bible verses to support this as well. But I want to look at the NLT version, which says, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences, right? So this is letting you know that, number one, what you say has power, right? But then in addition to that, if you have a love to talk, a love to actually share words or to communicate, you're actually going to reap consequences from what you're saying, right? So that has a couple of different things that we can look at as it relates to how we should proceed in the future with looking at how we speak over our stuck places. But then in addition to that, how we speak to others, how we relate to others, and how we relate to ourselves, right? Because it's telling us that our words have power, right? So we're going to look at a couple of different verses as it relates to this. And I wanted to go to, I did have it pulled up. I want to actually go to, hold on. I want to go to James. Hold on one second. I'll put a mark here. James 3:6-10. There is a note. If you have a study Bible, there are a lot of footnotes, and I want to actually talk about this a little bit more, but the footnote does take us to James 3:6-10, so we're going to talk about this a little bit. So James 3:6 verses 6-10 tell us this. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell, right? Which tells us that the tongue has the power to do things that are not necessarily God-inspired, right? But sinful in nature, and also it corrupts the whole body, meaning that your tongue and what you actually say, the words that come out of your mouth are powerful because they have an impact on your entire body, right? It says all kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have fully been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison, which shows us that this is something that we all wrestle with, right? The tongue is something that's powerful and it's hard to tame it, right? With the tongue, we praise our Lord and Father, and with it, we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring, right? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. Now, what this is telling us is we have a mouth that actually can speak in the affirmative, saying praises to other people, lift them up, but in the same token, we may have a mouth that actually comes out and curses people, talks about them in the negative, right? Tears them down. So you have to think about this, right? If this verse is telling us that you can't have fresh water and salt water flowing from the same spring, you have to think about the words that you're actually speaking out of your mouth on a regular basis. Not necessarily just with yourself, about your situation, about your stuck place, but also about how you see others, right? How you're in relationship with others, right? And this is something we all have to be mindful of because you're human. And being a human being, you are going to make mistakes, but I think we have to be more cognizant of the things that we say, right? How we actually communicate with others, how we communicate with ourselves. Because at the end of the day, if this verse is telling us, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? The fruit of what you're speaking, if you want to have good fruit, meaning you want to have blessings, you want to get unstuck, you want these things, this harvest to come forward in your life. But then in the same token, you're praying for that thing, you're speaking that thing up, but then you're also cutting down yourself or cutting down other people in the same breath. How can you expect to bear good fruit, right? If you want to bear good fruit in your life, you have to look at the totality of your life. And these verses are telling us the tongue has the power of life and death, right? They have the power to corrupt the whole body. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, am I being corrupt by my communication, by my speech, the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? Am I speaking in the affirmative? Or am I speaking in the negative, right? You have to ask yourself, how are you speaking to yourself? How are you speaking to others? How are you interacting with others, right? And you have to be mindful of these things that may be affecting you getting unstuck, because your ability to tame your tongue, to be able to speak more positively, and then if you don't have anything good to say, what do people say? Say nothing at all. Your ability to be able to be mindful of that may be keeping you stuck, right? And this is something I think we all have to be mindful of, because at the end of the day, we do have free speech, but we have to think about how our ability to have free will and free speech are affecting us, right? We have to have forethought in what we're speaking, what we're saying, how we're communicating with others. And we have to think about the fact that how are we talking about others, right? The affirmation for today says this: I speak life, hope, and blessing over my future. My words are powerful, and I choose to declare God's promises over my life. I believe the best is yet to come. So, friend, I have to ask you this question. Number one, are you speaking life, health, and blessing over your future as well as other people's, right? Are you recognizing that your words are powerful? Are you actually being mindful of when you may be going in a negative place, when you may be speaking ill of someone when it's not necessary? Are you actually choosing to declare God's promises over your life? How often are you speaking in the affirmative about what you believe God has in store for you in the future, right? Are you actually declaring these things as if you believe with faith they are going to happen? Or are you cutting yourself down and speaking in the negative? Then it says, I believe the best is yet to come. I've asked you all this, friends, and I've asked myself that. You have to ask yourself, what are your beliefs about your stuck place? What are your beliefs about your future? Do you believe the best is yet to come? Because if you don't believe it and it starts with your mindset, you're not going to speak that out loud. You're going to speak things that actually subtract from what you say you believe, because your words and your mind and your heart, all of those things have to line up, right? Your mind, your words that you're speaking out of your mouth, your heart, your relationship with people, your relationship with yourself, they should all be aligned. And if any of those things are out of whack, out of line, you're not going to get unstuck, right? Because you are actually feeding into the narrative that you're going to remain stuck, right? You're not feeding into your relationships. You're not feeding into your relationship with yourself, right? So those are places that you need to start today, because speaking life over your future is very important. After day 26, as you move forward into the rest of 2025, if you want 2026 to look better than 2025, you have to start now speaking that over your life, affirming the fact that your 2026 is going to look like this, right? January 2026 for me is going to look like this. And I know life happens, things happen in life, but at the end of the day, what are you actually desiring and wanting for yourself? And what are you speaking about yourself? Okay. You have to monitor those things. And I do actually have it in my book. I can't remember the lesson, but I do actually have it where you actually monitor your thoughts and your actions and the words that are coming out of your mouth, because sometimes we're not mindful of it. And we actually do need to journal those types of thoughts to chase the root. Where is this coming from, right? Are you actually taking in negative feedback from other people? Are you hanging with the wrong people or listening to the wrong things? Or is it just the fact that in your mind, you start churning those negative thoughts, maybe overanalyzing or thinking negative about a situation, and then you speak out loud those things, right? But you have to capture the root of specifically what is causing you to not speak life over your situation. If there are people, places, things, whatever those things are, you need to figure out what the root is so you can actually stop that root and you can start speaking in the affirmative, okay? So let me look at my notes. We talked about this. We said, remember your words have power. So that's one thing I do want you to take away from today's devotional, but also I want you to challenge yourself to avoid speaking doubt, fear, and negative self-talk, right? I'm really going to challenge you at this point, and I say that whether you're single or not, to actually speak the vision that you have for your life. If you believe that you're supposed to be married, speak out loud that I will be married, right? You may not know the date and the time that it's going to happen, but you can't go around saying, I'm always going to be single forever, or I'm never going to get married, or I'm never going to get out of financial debt. I'm always going to be broke. Where is it going to take you? You have to think about the fact of where are these words going to take me in the future? And if I want to have a better future for myself, I have to believe more for myself, which means I have to speak more for myself, right? I have to affirm these things for myself and believe wholeheartedly God is going to walk with me as I get unstuck, as I move forward, okay? So those are things that I do challenge you to do. And we're going to look at the prayer now. The prayer is, Dear God, help me to speak with faith and vision over my life. I believe that what you've promised will come to pass, and I choose to declare it with my words. Amen, right? So you have to actually believe what you believe God has promised you, and you have to declare it with your words. The journal prompt, we have 2 questions for today. First one is, what are you speaking over your life today? The second one is, how can you align your words with faith and victory? So this is what I'm going to challenge you. If you have not started, today is a great day to start, even if it's day 26, even if you're coming back to look at this at a later time. Today is a great day to start your affirmations. If you want to, you can take these affirmations, you can print them out, you can put them on note cards, you can post them around. But I encourage you to pick probably the top 4 or 5 affirmations that we've had out of the 30-Day Warrior Challenge and post those around and actually speak those out loud. Challenge yourself to do at least once or twice a day, because the more you actually feed into your spirit positive things and you speak it out loud, the more you will actually get accustomed to the fact that you believe these things and you're going to actually start walking accordingly, right? Because when you declare something with your mouth in the affirmative, your mind is going to start to line up. If you do it long enough and you're retraining yourself to think positively about yourself, to speak life over yourself versus death over yourself, okay? Because if you speak death over yourself, what do you think is going to happen in the future? You're actually saying to yourself, I believe that this thing is not going to happen. I'm always going to be this way. And what do you think you're going to attract? If you want to attract more life and positivity and blessings in your life, you're going to have to start speaking with faith-filled words, right? Not fear-filled words, okay? So I do encourage you, friend, to actually go back, get your affirmations posted, start saying these out loud at least once or twice a day, and start asking yourself, where am I not aligning my words with faith and victory? Where am I speaking negative? And start to stop yourself when you go down that negative self-talk road, okay? As always, I do ask you, if you've not done so, to subscribe to my YouTube page, right? Like this post, share with a friend, and comment below. Let me know which one of these affirmations is your favorite affirmation and how's the 30-day challenge going for you, okay? I thank you so much for tuning in to day 26, Speaking Life Over My Future. Until next time.